All right, folks, the rankings are here. So let's talk winners and losers. So we're gonna alternate with loser, winner, and build up to who's our biggest loser, who's our biggest winner. I got 4 losers for you, 4 winners. So be sure to comment who do you think was the biggest winner and losers in the bracket. You could even include teams that didn't make it or things you thought should have been seated differently. Feel free to share, but let's get into it. Loser number 1, Ohio State. And you're just here because you still couldn't beat Michigan, and you put yourself in this position where many are saying you shouldn't have still gotten a home game with a bad loss to Michigan. You're going to have to now play Tennessee, and I don't know. The vibes around Ohio State and Ryan Day are not good right now. Can they get it together and win this game and get a rematch against Oregon? On to winner number 1. And this is a tie here. Arizona State and Boise State. Winners number 1 of the college football bracket that they've released. Winners because they get a bye. They're into the 8. Boise State, congratulations. You handled business 12-1. Only loss was a tight loss to Oregon. I think if you asked a lot of people who was going to be a team that got a bye, I don't think they would have assumed that from the other Power 5 that it was going to be a team outside of, the SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10. And so congrats to them, congrats to Arizona State, and even congrats to Boise State, who SMU, Penn State, either of those games, gotta feel like either of those teams that they play, gotta feel like that's winnable for them potentially. And Arizona State, party school, you never know. Which brings us to our next loser, Tennessee. Related to Ohio State, a lot of people felt Tennessee should have earned a home game, but did not. So they're a loser, just that they didn't get a home game. They got to travel. Small kind of loser victory. But, I mean, Tennessee, you got to balance that with, they're thrilled to be in the playoff, right? For a school like Tennessee, it's been a long, long time, right? They've had some good teams the last couple years, and now, with this 12-team playoff, you never know, right? Next winner, Texas.
To that I say amen.
Seating, Matthew McConaughey's got to be loving it.
To that I say all right, all right, all right.
Because who do they play? Clemson. Got to think that's an easily winnable game. And then their next opponent, Arizona State. So,
say, man, you got a joint?
Already, Longhorn fans got to be booking their tickets to the semifinals, thinking that they're a lock to get there. Thinking they can easily take down Clemson, work their way through that party school, and then maybe they're freaking out seeing that they got to go up against the buzzsaw Oregon.
Now,
on to our next loser, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think they would have liked to have been higher in the seedings with all those losses. They ended up staying at the 5, which puts them at 7 in the bracket. A little convoluted. I was a little what's the point of the ranking when now we have the bracket and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, Notre Dame's 5, but in the bracket they're a 7 because you've got to seed them 1 through 4. So all that jazz there. I think maybe we'll touch on that later of how the the bracket feels a little bit unfair. But Notre Dame, they're a loser, maybe though a winner too. They're like a little bit of both. But why are they a loser? Because they didn't jump up. I think if they'd have been up one more, they'd have loved to have faced like SMU or Clemson as their two, one of the two teams that they would love to face. Now they have Indiana, who next best thing beside that, right? A lot of people not believing in Indiana, so you could say that's a win for them. But here's why I still have them as a loser. Like if Notre Dame loses it, like you have not changed the narrative around your school at all. That like you just get in because of your name and you never really earn it. And if you lose to Indiana again, like you're gonna be the joke. You will be the joke of the college football playoff if Notre Dame gets bounced out of the playoff. Like it's not going to change anything. They'll still probably get into a bunch of things that a lot of people feel like they shouldn't be in just because they're Notre Dame. But it doesn't change that narrative. So winner, because yeah, they are facing Indiana, who would be the next easiest out of those 11 and 12. But if you lose, I don't know. But maybe a winner, because if they win and they make it to Georgia, Georgia's been up and down. Who knows what's going on with Carson Beck, if he's even going to be around there. Like it honestly, it looks like no, if he couldn't even like, I don't know how long that injury is going to take to heal, but possible win if they win those two games and make it facing an up and down Georgia team. Sorry, bouncing around. Let's get focused. We got to bring it into our next winner, folks, and we're getting down to it. We are at our number 2 biggest winner, Georgia. I mean, they have to be thanking the heavens for the bracket that they got here. They play the winner of Notre Dame, Indiana, and then they play either Boise State, Penn State, or Boise State, Penn State, or SMU. Like that's by far and away the easiest draw to get all the way to the finals. So they have to be thankful for that. The only reason I did not put them as the biggest winner is because they've been inconsistent this year. They've struggled some with Florida. I mean, many should have lost to Georgia Tech, which where would they be in all of this? Like, would Boise State be 2 if, I mean, just think about that. Could a Boise State be the 2 seed if in fact, but honestly, if that was the case and everything else was the same, I'd still be sitting here telling you Georgia is one of the bigger winners of the college football bracket. But Georgia's just been inconsistent. That's why they're not number 1. Like, honestly, there's just something about this team that even though they're really talented and they've done some really impressive things, they've done some really unimpressive things. And I will not be convinced that this team can win the national title until they do it. That's just the feel that I have. Can they? Yes. Do I think they can? It's just when I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it. Sorry. And you know Kirby Smart is out there telling everybody, nobody believes in us. He'll get his boys in the right mindset for this.
Well, it means rest for a team that Greg Sankey and his staff sent on the road all year long.
That being said, who is our biggest loser? You've probably already guessed it. It's Oregon. If you're Oregon, you've got to be pretty ticked off about how this bracket shaped up. You get your bye, and then you have to play Ohio State or Tennessee. Like, out of all the teams that are in there, like, I think people would see that Texas is clearly the best team that's there. But then I think you would hold up Ohio State and Tennessee as good as any of the next following teams. So, I mean, Dan Lanning is going to get the boys fired up no matter what. But all that, like, I think the 12-team playoff has been a wild success. I've gone up and down. Like, I've loved it throughout the season. And then last week I was talking like it's broken. And then pretty much how it all played out. Like, I'm fine with the 12-team playoff. Like, Miami, sorry, wasn't in the stars. And good thing the playoff committee did the right thing getting SMU in. In fact, put SMU as my number 5 winner. Extra bonus winner, SMU. They're in. They deserved it. Alabama, you did not. You're a loser. Alabama, though, sorry, there you're another loser, but I don't feel sorry for you, and I'm happy for SMU. They deserved it. Bama did not. Again, you lost 24-3, Bama, so all you Bama fans, keep quiet. There's been no more disqualifying loss for the playoffs than what Alabama suffered against Oklahoma State. You don't deserve to be there. Sorry. And to think you're going to get in there if Clemson doesn't pull off the upset, makes me sick. Anyway, everything all worked out with the college football playoff, but looking at the bracket, you have to kind of honestly think there's got to be a better way to do this. If the first time you do it, your number 1 seed, you think has probably the hardest path, and your number 2 seed has the easiest path. Like, that's not how it's supposed to work out. How do you fix it? Maybe re-rank them. Going into the other teams still say 1, 2, 3, 4 and re-rank the other 4 teams. I don't know, right? Or like, you love ranking stuff that create you'd get another show out of it. College football, you get a whole nother week out of discussion for did they rank everybody correctly. Teams would still have plenty of time to plan and prepare for who they're going to play. Or here's another one, novel. The conference champions get to draft who they play. Oregon will get to pick who they play out of that, right? Or you do an NFL style thing, like if there is an upset, then Oregon gets to play the lowest possible seed remaining. Like, I think people don't talk enough about how smart that is for the NFL in terms of that their playoff bracket is flexible depending on who they win. I think that could solve it a lot too, because let's say SMU does get an upset, then go ahead and shift them over to playing Oregon. Just an idea there to fix it. So who is our number 1 winner? If not Georgia, who? Ladies and gentlemen, it is James Franklin. Like, the coach known for can't win the big game. Penn State's always good, but can't make it to games that matter. 12-team playoff, a lot of people said that's going to be a godsend for James Franklin. Penn State is going to get in every year, and first year, here they are, folks. 10-2. They didn't beat the high-level competition once again, but because of a 12-team playoff they're in, and now they actually have a pretty easy path to get to the semifinal, and is beating SMU and then beating Boise State. Is that, I mean, those are, if you're thinking about James Franklin, those are actually the perfect teams that are like ranked that he beats to continue to allow Penn State to look good and have people say they're a good team, to then only face the Georgias and never come up with a win. So we'll see. Or again, I talked earlier about Georgia being up and down. Is Penn State, maybe if Georgia has a bad game, does Penn State make it into the final? And now, like, if Penn State makes it to a championship game, I mean, James Franklin could be talked about and seen in a whole nother light. And that is my biggest winner for the college football playoff. Go ahead, comment. Who do you think was a big winner or loser of the bracket?